Hello everyone! Today's tutorial is on my Ellis Bifold wallet. This wallet is a traditional style wallet with a cash pocket and 6 card pockets on each side. It is a pattern that needs to be made with a non-fray material because the edges are left raw. I have designed this wallet so it has a nice slim profile and isn't bulky. This can be sewn on a domestic machine. You don't need an industrial machine. The thickest part you're going to be going through is here, and that is 4 layers at its thickest point. So you can do this easily on a domestic machine. It can be made in multiple colors like I have here. It can also be made in a single color, which all these are, but if you would like, you can use up some of your scraps and make the pockets in different colors. If you are worried about the thickness, there is a way to thin it out just a little bit, and that's just by leaving this back piece here off. So you would only have 3 layers of material to go through. That is in the pattern if you want to do that. But let's get started. First, you're going to want to get all your pieces cut out. If you are cutting with SVG files on a cutting machine or a laser, like I have, you're going to have 2 template A's, a template B, and then you're going to have your 6 card slots with your template C and your template D. If you're cutting by hand, instead of 2 template A's, you're going to have this rectangle piece and 1 template A. So we'll go through that. If you want to reduce the bulk, you're just going to take one of these template A's or your rectangle piece out. Okay, so let's get started putting our pieces together. The first thing we're going to do is to prep our pieces. If you have cut your pieces by hand, you're going to have your rectangle and a template A. Go ahead and turn that rectangle over to the wrong side, and you are going to glue your template A so the tops, bottom, and sides match. And you're going to see here, you're going to have these corners showing on your rectangle. Once this is glued down, you're going to want to trim the corners of your rectangle to match the corners of your template A. I have cut mine with my laser, and if you have done that with the SVG files, if you've cut them and you have 2 template A's, you're going to do basically the same thing. Turn one of your template A's over, grab your fabric glue, and just do a light bit of glue here, and glue your template A pieces together, wrong sides together. Make sure all your corners are lined up and everything, all your edges. Okay. Now, you won't need to trim anything because your pieces should be the same size. But if for some reason they aren't, go through and trim up if you need to. After you've got your 2 main body pieces glued together, we're going to move on to step 3. And you're going to want to get your cash pocket piece. So what I want you to do is I want you to take your cash pocket piece, and I'm going to zoom in here just a little bit for you so you can kind of see this a little bit better. And you're going to line it up on the left hand side of the main body, and it's shorter than the rest of it, so make sure you have that left hand side aligned, and then the bottom. And I want you to take a chalk pen or some kind of removable ink pen, and where your half circle cutout is here, I want you to mark the left side of that circle. Next, you're going to scoot your card pocket over to the right hand side, line up that right hand edge, and make sure your bottom's still aligned. This time you're going to come down and you're going to mark the right edge of that cutout in the cash pocket. Okay, so when you take your cash pocket off, you're going to have 2 marks, and it tells you in the pattern approximately how far these marks are going to be apart, right? What we're going to do with these marks is we're actually going to go over and we're going to sew a false stitch. This is helpful in when we get everything, all of our pieces stitched on. It's helpful to already have a line of stitching here that you don't have to try to stitch at the very end, but you'll still have stitching here and it won't be left blank. So we're going to sew a false stitch. So we're going to go to the sewing machine. We're going to start and stop at the marks that we just made. All right, so without back stitching and leaving a long tail, we're going to sew a top stitch from those 2 marks we made with our cash pocket. Okay. Okay, so you see I've sewn this false stitch top stitching between my 2 marks that I made. I've left my tails long. I'm going to pull those tails in to the right side, or I'm sorry, the inside of my wallet here. And I'm going to just tie them off for a cleaner look, maybe. There we go. Now, you can either take these and needle and thread tuck them to the inside of your wallet, or you can clip them short and burn your edges. However you want to secure those knots. Go ahead and do that. All right, I'm going to take mine and tuck them in just a minute. But our next step, we're going to set our main body aside and we're going to get our card pocket pieces. I'm going to zoom back out. Here we go. You're going to get your card pocket pieces and you're going to get your cash pocket back out. And we're going to do just a top stitch across the top of all of these pockets. So we're going to do this top edge of all of our pockets. Now this is mostly decorative, but it does kind of help support the top edge as your cards go in and out. So that's what I like to do it. So we're going to go back to the sewing machine and we're going to do the top stitching across all of the pockets. Again, you want to leave a long tail for a neater stitch line and pull through and tie off to the wrong side of the fabric. We now have all of our top edges top stitched. We're going to move on to the attaching the card slot section. First thing you want to do, you want to get your cash pocket, and you want to get 2 of your template C pieces. Let me zoom in a little for you. I like to put a little bit of double-sided tape on the back of my card pockets to help hold them still. You just need to remember to take that double-sided tape off once you have finished sewing, but I find it helps just a little bit to help stabilize everything, because we're really only going to be able to clip one side of it to hold it still. All right, so you're going to take 2 of your template C card pockets, and you're going to measure down the distance it tells you in the pattern from the top to the top edge of your card pocket. I've already marked it here on my cash slot, so I don't have to get my ruler out for you. You want to line up this left hand tab against the left hand edge of your cash pocket, and if you're using double-sided tape, take that back off. Get that nice and lined up. And then if you don't want to use double-sided tape, you can take a clip and clip that tab in place. But you really can't clip this one easily. If you have long enough ones, you can go from the top here and clip it over here. You're going to do the same thing on your right hand side. Measure down the distance you need from the top. Line up the right hand tab with the right hand edge. And either use your tape or clip it in place, or both, if you want to be extra stable. And we're going to take it over to the sewing machine, and we're going to sew just across this bottom edge of our pocket. It's okay if you go over the card slot just a little bit. This is going to be hidden behind the other pockets. So go ahead and backstitch each way and go across that bottom. All right, I use a slightly smaller stitch length in my top stitching here. And you're going to line up across this bottom edge of the pocket and just sew straight across. I like to do a couple stitches before and after the pocket just to make sure it's nice and stable and secure. We're going to do the same thing with the second pocket here. There we go. We've sewn across our first set of card pockets, so now it's time to add the second set of template C card pockets. This time you're just going to you're just going to line up your card pocket here with the bottom of your first one, okay? It is important for this center tab to be lined up first, and then come over to the tab on the edge, especially if you've hand cut these. This tab, you're not going to be able to do anything about if it's not lined up. This one, if it overhangs a little bit, that's okay. You can trim it, okay? So line up this central midline, I guess, tab first, and just butt it right up against the bottom part of the tab of your first pocket that you sewed on. And clip that in place. I'm going to zoom back out for, ooh, that was in. Let's zoom back out for you. And we'll do the other side. Again, we want to get that central midline edge lined up first, and then come over to the outer edge. We're going to do the same thing on this one. Go over to your sewing machine, so straight across the bottom of both those pockets. We've sewn across the bottom of the second card pocket. What we're going to do now is to line up our very last bottom card pocket. This is going to be template D. You're going to have a template D and a template D reverse, so you want to make sure you have those orientated the correct direction. You want the curve on the outside of your wallet. These are going to line up just underneath this second tab. Again, make sure that midline is lined up. And let me clip this, and then I'll show you the other thing you want to make sure you have. All right. So once you get your template D on, you will notice your corner of your card or your cash pocket is going to show over here. We're going to trim that off. The next thing you're going to notice is that your template D card pocket is going to overhang your cash pocket. That is supposed to be that way. All right, so your cash pocket is going to be slightly shorter than your card pockets stacked together, and you're going to have this corner over here. That's what you want, okay? So we'll get our other bottom card pocket put on. Again, align that midline. Get it all lined up. Get that clipped in place. Put another one down here. And this time, instead of sewing across the bottom, we're actually going to sew down our center, our inside edges here. Keep going dark. Okay. We're going to sew down our center line. So start at the top of your first card pocket, and you're going to sew down the edge here all the way down to the bottom. You want to make sure that your tabs stay aligned, and then that they also stay butted up against each other nicely, so you're not going to have any gaps where those tabs touch. All right, so we're going to sew down both inside edges. For this one, because it is going to be holding the card pockets on, I am going to backstitch, but I'm just going to do a neat as possible stitch there. And I want it to hit right at the top of my first pocket. this side, I'm going to sew from the bottom. And just make sure I don't push the pockets up. We have our center edges sewn. We want to go and trim off this extra little piece of the cash pocket. It doesn't have to be exact because it's not going to be seen. So just trim it off so you can't see it. So I just cut it slightly behind the curve of that bottom card pocket there. Okay. The next thing we are going to do actually is take off your double-sided tape if you used it. Much easier to do this now when you can still pull the sides of your card pocket up just a little bit. So let's do that. All right, our card pocket and our cash pocket are all complete, so we're going to move on to our final assembly. And we are going to get our main body back. Ooh, wrong direction, sorry. Get our main body piece back out. You want this false stitch that you sewn at the bottom. We're going to place our card pocket here on top. Now you will notice that our cash card pocket is not as long as our main body. That's okay. That's the way it's supposed to be. What I want you to do, I want you to take it, I want you to match up this bottom left curve of the cash card pocket and the left edge with your main body. And I want you to get that nice and neat. Get all your edges and tabs so they line up. I'm sorry, you've got a nice shot of my arm there. So get these corners, the rounded corner exactly lined up with your main body. This left edge lined up. It's a lot of lining up. And these tabs, make sure that they're nice and neat. So get that all clipped in place. You can have your nice layers here. Now remember, your card pocket is slightly longer than your cash pocket, so you want the bottom of your card pocket lined up with your main body. Okay, now for the fun part. Yeah, that all lined up. Hopefully, there we go. What I want you to do is I want you to pull your card pocket over to the right edge of your main body piece. This is going to put a fold in your main body piece. Okay. This is going to fold it out. And you're going to clip this all in place just like you did on the left side, lining up your curve at the bottom of your card and your right hand side. So you want to make sure that's all nice and neat and lined up. Your tabs are all in place. Okay. Put another one over here. And another one over here. All right. So you see you have that nice bump in the back there. Okay. But you'll also see this false stitch that we did at the beginning should match up fairly nicely with where that cutout is in the cash pocket. Okay, and that's where we're going to start when we start sewing. So when you take it over to your sewing machine, what I want you to do is I want you to kind of push this right side so that the bubble is over to the right side. You're going to start right here where your false stitch ended. Okay, start right there. And you're going to sew around. Now, you're going to go off the side of your card pocket and just be stitching along the top edge of your main body. So you should be able to just gently kind of push that bubble over as you stitch along the top edge. And then you're going to come around and sew, and you will end right where that false stitch is on that side. It's not as hard as it sounds, because when you're just stitching along that main body, you don't have to worry about the bubble. It just smooths out. Okay, so let's head over to our sewing machine. Okay, we're going to start right here at the bottom where our false stitch started, and we're going to sew around our wallet. I like to leave a long tail at the beginning. We'll tie that off for a nice stitch line. Around these corners, you're going to go nice and slow. I like to hand crank. Now, as you go up your pockets, you're going to want to make sure that your tabs stay aligned. All right, so here we have our little bubbles, so just, you'll see it'll just flatten out as you go. See, it just rolled right down. All right, now we're going to go down our right side here. So you want to make sure that your tabs stay where they're supposed to for a nice edge. You want to make sure the fold and your right edge is lined up nicely. Okay, now we're going to come along the bottom and we're going to stop right where our false stitch is. So leave that tail alone. And we'll get those threads cleaned up. And we've got a finished wallet. Okay. We have stitched around our wallet, and our wallet is now complete. You can see with that false stitch that we put in at the beginning, we get a nice clean look stitch line to our wallet. We didn't have to worry about sewing over that bump at the end. So that is why we put that false stitch in there first. If you have any edges that need to be cleaned up and straightened and made even, go ahead and trim those. And then I would suggest maybe putting something slightly heavy on top of the wallet so that it stays shut. It won't take long to get that bend in there. But there you have it. Your Ellis wallet is complete. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope you enjoy making these.